Just returned from an amazing 2 weeks vacation in Jamaica. It was my mom's 85th birthday, and we celebrated her, oh, so beautifully. Now, there are some things that I learned while I was in Jamaica that I would like to share with you, some health-related, holistic health-related observations, research, if you will, that I learned in Jamaica that I would like to share with you within the next few days, perhaps few weeks. I learned so much from just being there for 2 weeks. Now, one of the things that I learned is that there are actually many centenarians living in Jamaica right now. Now, based on the Blue Zone research and other research, I don't really hear anything about centenarians in Jamaica. I hear about Loma Linda, California, Costa Rica, Japan, Italy, and those places, but I've never really heard anything about Jamaica. But there are actually currently many centenarians and older folks, 80s, like my mom's 85 and my adopted dad is 90, will be 91 in February. And they're highly functional older folks. They're in good health, in their right mind, physically active, taking care of their business. They cook for themselves, wash their clothes with hands, clean their house, grocery shop, and especially my adopted dad at 1991. I mean, totally functional. And he doesn't forget a thing at almost 91. Now, when I talk to my siblings, they also personally know many centenarians in their neighborhood. In fact, there was a lady who doesn't live too far from my mom in the country. She's 103 years old, and her 85-year-old daughter was her caregiver. The daughter died while I was there, but the 103-year-old is still alive. And they're not bed-bound, they're not wheelchair-bound, they're not in a vegetative state. These are functional old people. And my brother-in-law was sharing with me about a gentleman who recently passed away just shy of 100. And my brother-in-law told me that the gentleman was, before he died, was walking 5 miles every single day. Isn't that amazing? My 90-year-old dad walks a mile and a half to church every Sunday and a mile and a half back. And when he gets up in the mornings, he has a cup of coffee and he heads to what he calls the hill. And he's up there stooping and bending and pulling weeds and tending to his garden, and for at least 2 hours. Because if I try to call him in the morning, I don't get him. And all day he's actively doing one thing or the other. So these older folks are the real experts. They're the real holistic health teachers. And I learned a lot from them. And I would love to share them with you in the next few days. Now today, this is what I noticed with these, a couple common denominators with these older folks. They actually do eat healthily without even knowing it. They eat the roots, potatoes, yams, breadfruit, carrots, squashes, every day. Every day they eat those things. Cabbage and callaloo and spinach. Every day they eat those healthy things without even realizing that they're eating healthy. They eat very little junk. Now my mom and my adopted dad, they do eat some what they call biscuit, what we call cookies here. In the evening they'll have a cup of tea and a couple biscuits before going to bed. Okay, to kind of quiet the worm, as they would say. They don't eat late either. Their dinner is usually no later than 4 o'clock. And then later on, they'll have a little catch-up, a cup of tea and a couple of biscuits, a cup of tea and a couple of crackers. Not a belly full. So they eat very healthily. They don't eat a lot of meat. For example, my sister was cooking for the workmen, her husband's workmen. He's a farmer. And she offered me some lunch. And the lunch was a slice of yam, a slice of sweet potato, a couple pieces of squash, and half of a chicken wing. That was lunch. Small amount of food and not a lot of meat. And the next day, I was at her house, my sister's house, and she gave me the same roots with a serving of butter beans. Okay, so there was no meat the next day. This is how they eat. My dad eats meat every day and my mom, but it's small amount of meat. In fact, my dad bought pork. He said he bought pork because he knew I was coming. And he bought some pork and he cooked it on a wood fire outside. It smelled so good. I don't eat pork because pork makes me sick. But I noticed that when he was eating the pork, it was just a small portion of pork with the roots. And they don't starve themselves. He eats until he is satisfied. But his dinner is usually 3 o'clock, no later than 4. So that's one thing I noticed. They eat healthily. They don't eat much junk, very little. They eat very little meat. Now the younger folks probably won't fare as well because they are constantly in the fast food joints, because the McDonald's and the Wendy's and the Burger King and the Subway, all those American junk food places are popping up left, right, and center in the United States. And that's what the younger folks are eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I don't believe they'll fare as well as our parents, because clearly they're doing well, because one of the reasons is that they eat healthily and the young folks are not eating healthily. So I don't believe they'll fare as well. Another thing with the elderly folks in Jamaica that are highly functional and doing well, which most of them are, they exercise, they walk a lot. They walk a lot. They walk, they're always physically active. They're always doing something. They eat healthily and they exercise. They also sleep well. They go to bed early. And they get a good 8 hours or more of sleep. Like my dad goes to bed. I mean, Marquis is an older person. And I remember 4 years ago when I went there, he would go to bed at 9 o'clock every night. And it was every night he would go to bed at 9 and he would get up at 6 in the morning. And my mom, now they go to bed a little earlier. And I'm not suggesting that we all can go to bed at 8 o'clock. But the sleep is a priority for them. And they get good sleep. They're not stressed out either. Not that they have life easy. It's not easy. But they're not stressed out. Okay, they're not stressed out. So those are the things, some common things that I see in these highly functional older people's lifestyle. They eat good, they're physically active, they make sleep a priority, and they're not stressed out. I learned a lot, and I'll be tweaking my lifestyle even more. And I wanted to share some of my observations, which is really a research, with you, so that hopefully you can learn some of these healthy habits and make them your habit also. So stay tuned. I'll be sharing more of what I observed in Jamaica to help you to become and remain the healthiest version of yourself. This is Marva Riley. If you like this video, I invite you to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and your family who could benefit from this information. All right? Take care, and God bless you. Stay well.